Oh, yes. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to an unsanctioned pirate broadcast. I am your host, PoGokeRo. And today, we will discuss false equivalence. Woo! Hello, America. What's all happening? Are you chilling? Are you having a good time? Man, like I have like this unusual level of stress. Anxiety, I should say anxiety. It's an anxiety. I don't know from whence it comes, but it's there all the time. And it's rough. Well, I do know where it comes from. It's the knowing of what's happening. And that knowledge of it happening while looking around me is like pretty nerve-wracking. Right? This kind of thing makes you want to like scream your head off. And to see people just acting normal, like as if nothing's the matter, is messed up. So, yeah, what happened today? God, so much. Like, so much. Where shall I start? You know what? Here, this is the first thing I want to start with. There was a giant resistance movement that happened in Paris in May of 1968, where the students and the protesters just like took over the city for like 3 days. Like took it over. Like they barricaded the streets and like, yeah. And for like 3 days, the city of Paris was like, well, I don't know if it's just for 3 days. You know, I don't even know about the details, right? I just know something crazy went down there. And they wrote graffiti everywhere. And the graffiti was like amazing stuff, amazing mind-blowing stuff. It wasn't just like tagging. It was actual like people writing stuff. Like and you can look it up if you want to see all the great things that they wrote. But there's one that stuck with me. And I gotta say it to you real quick. I gotta look at it, because if I don't look at it, then it becomes harder. And it's already difficult in a foreign language. And oh look, I've lost it. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm gonna pause this for a moment. Pause. Un flic dort en chacun de nous. Il faut le tuer. Un flic dort en chacun de nous. Il faut le tuer. Ça te dit. That is to say, a cop sleeps in every one of us. He must be killed. Okay, that was written in May 1968, just graffiti on the wall. May 1968, Paris. Now, think about what that's saying. I mean, here, let me update it. A Nazi lives in each one of us. He must be found and killed. That's another way of putting it. Another way of putting it would be, an agent of the Matrix sleeps in every one of us. He must be found and killed. It's the same idea, right? It's the same idea reflected throughout history. Just a little bit different, but it's the same idea throughout. Okay. So, false equivalence. What does that even mean? So, false equivalence is the rhetorical fallacy, the mental fallacy, the logical fallacy of declaring two things that are totally different and saying that they're equal. Like, it just doesn't work. It just breaks things. You can't do it. It's a logical fallacy. And if you build on that fallacy, then your entire argument is broken. So it's important to spot false equivalence really, really early on, because if you don't, and you build this complex argument, and then someone just comes along and is like pokes that your false equivalence, your whole argument tumbles to the ground, and nothing that you said afterwards matters. All that work for nothing. So it's important that when you build an argument, you build a sound argument. The foundations of your argument are sound, because otherwise it's really easy just to waste all your work. So yeah, I often wonder, like, how this could happen to people. How America could have gotten into its position. How could smart people get tricked into this kind of thing? And so I studied a little bit, and I did a bit of an interview. And one of the first things I noticed was where the posts were put, where the frame was set. The person I interviewed set the frame in such a way to say, look, I'm an independent person. I look at both sides of it. I look at the mainstream media, and I look at the right-wing media. So I'm looking at both sides. I'm not, I'm not just exclusive to one side. And then I'm independent. That's the next thing she said. And I'm independent. Okay, the thing that right there is off is that she set, or it was set, the parameters were set mainstream media on the left and far right-wing media as the right. And that's it. Okay, now if you back up from that perspective, right, because that's really, really narrowly focused, super narrow focus. If you back up from that perspective, you start actually picking up actual left-wing media. and then you find out that, oh wait, this mainstream media that the person set as the left is actually kind of center right. Right? Because you back up a little bit. You just back up a little bit. But when you look over here on the right, where the person set as the goalpost for the right, you can't go any further right. That's it. You can keep going left, but there's no more right. That should give you a clue. So then you back up further, right? You back up more. And now you're like in the context of other nations. Not just America, but now you're pulling in other countries. And now you see where you set the right is still way here in the extreme right. And where you set the quote left at the mainstream media of American is actually like right. And the far left that you call the left, the extreme left, is actually the middle when you look at it in context of all the other democracies. And it's not till you start getting out here into the other democracies where you start having actual communist parties and actual socialist and green parties that actually have power in government and actually have seats. Then you start to realize when this person had set their parameters as to the left and right from whence they got their information, it's really far right. And it's really narrow. It's super far right. So already, this person who claimed to be independent pegged themselves as being far right. Then, this person, I said, okay, well, what's the source on the far right? Where are you getting your information? And they picked the source as Judicial Watch. I'm getting more coffee. Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch. I knew Judicial Watch. There was a bunch of their members who would protest next to us in 2011 in Carson City. They had a big, they paid a lot of money to print up this big, huge vinyl banner of a yellow crime scene tape, and they would string it around, like they would hold it up across the legislature to say that the legislature is committing a crime or something. They were with Judicial Watch, and they tried to glob onto us, but we didn't like them, and we were Occupy Carson City. Yeah, we didn't like them. We wouldn't let them protest next to us, so they'd go across the street and do it. La la la. All right, making sure I'm recording. All right. La. I got lost. I just had a realization. I'm like, uh-oh. No! A whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of uh-ohs. I gotta, like, come clean. Even I'm dirty, dude. Don't get me wrong. All right, Judicial Watch. This person was looking at Judicial Watch, and I'm like, well, hey, let me check them out. What is Judicial Watch about? And I pulled them up. Oop, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Where's it at? There it is. Judicial Watch. They are a questionable source. Let me go back here and make sure I'm still streaming. Yeah. They are a questionable source. A questionable source exhibits one or more of the following: extreme bias, consistent promotion of propaganda or conspiracies, poor or no sourcing to credible information, a complete lack of transparency and or is fake news. Fake news is a deliberate attempt to publish hoaxes and or disinformation for the purpose of profit or influence. Sources listed in the questionable category may be very untrustworthy and should be fact-checked on a per-article basis. Please note, sources on this list are not considered fake news unless specifically written in the reasoning section, which it was. It was labeled as extreme news. Extreme right. Yeah. Overall, we rate Judicial Watch questionable based on extreme right-wing bias, promotion of conspiracy theories, and a very poor fact-check record. This person set the goalposts as that being the credible right, and mainstream media as being the extreme left. Okay, and then from that point, as the person declared themselves independent, and then proceeded to repeat a whole bunch of conspiracies from Judicial Watch. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't finish that one. I gotta look it up. Hold on. Vladimir Putin says Mueller. There it is, Newsweek. Okay, so here, I'm gonna go snip tool. Not that one, do new. File, save as. Ooh, it's storming outside. It's storming. From Newsweek, desktop. This is Putin Mueller. All right. Now I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna change this guy out. I'm gonna change you out, dude. Mr. Hate Monger. Man, it's storming. I should close the window, maybe. Yeah, hold on. That's no rain. That's hail. All right. Let's see. Okay. Wait. Browse. Okay. Desktop. It said Putin. PPP. GGIJMP. Putin. There's that ugly mug. Where's it at, dude? Oh, it's text. So Putin Mueller it is. Okay, there it is. Now I have to like drag it on here. Then I gotta make it big enough for you to read. And then I'm gonna make me disappear. Hold on. No, not that. This. All right. Here, let's. So this was reported in Newsweek, June 26, 2019. Vladimir Putin says Mueller report is like the mountain gave birth to a mouse and complete nonsense. Russian Vladimir Putin has dismissed special counsel Robert Mueller's report and investigation, agreeing with President Donald Trump's assessment that the entire probe was a witch hunt. Quote, a witch hunt. Quote, we said from the start that Mr. Mueller's notorious investigations would find no evidence, Putin said Tuesday, the Moscow Times reported. Quote, therefore, it was clear to us in advance that it would end up as the mountain gave birth to a mouse, as they say. The Russian leader then reiterated his position that his country did not interfere in the 2016 election, calling the entire Mueller investigation complete nonsense. He also used a talking point frequently voiced by Trump, blaming the probe on Democrats' unwillingness to accept they had been defeated. So let's go back. All right, so that's what Putin's saying. That's what Putin's saying. When I asked this person, so what Putin is saying is that Robert Mueller is a big fat liar. That Robert Mueller, that he did not interfere. All the evidence he has is bogus. Is what Putin's saying. That all your evidence is bogus. That all the intelligence agencies, American intelligence agencies, and all of your allies are wrong. And that's what the Russians say. That's what our Russian intelligence says, and that's what Donald Trump says, and that's what Vladimir Putin says. So that's their story. That the whole thing is a hoax, and that's what's parroted on Judicial Watch, the far right-wing propaganda fake news site. This person then proceeded to tell me a number of conspiracies. Strzok and Page conspiracy. Do you know Strzok and Page? Peter Strzok and Lisa Page? That's the mountain out of a molehill thing that Putin was talking about. You made a mountain out of a molehill. Those two agents were working on the Trump case, and they exchanged texts that said they didn't like Trump and that they were pro-Clinton. So the right wing, the Russians, the right wing, the Trump, he used that, saying, "Oh, these FBI agents have an opinion, therefore they can't possibly work on my case. They're biased." So, that calls into question then every single other FBI agent, right? If you look at the FBI, it's majority white male Republican. How much you want to bet all those white male Republicans have a preference for Trump? Are you saying that they can't be objective in investigating? Like they were not objective in investigating Hillary Clinton? Why then was Hillary Clinton found like not worthy of criminal indictment? If all these white male Republicans in the FBI are so biased and can't control it, just like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. No, see, your logic is broken. That your whole thing breaks down. But this person advanced the far right conspiracy theory, fake news theory, right? They also made these allegations that the Clinton Foundation was criminal. They couldn't point to anything. After all these years, they haven't found anything. The person making this allegation, Donald Trump, his foundation was found to be criminal and was dissolved because it was so criminal. All right. So this whole conspiracy theory about the Clinton Foundation is just that. It's a conspiracy theory. There's nothing there. They got it out of this fake news site, and they took it as gospel. So, but they keep consistently siding with Vladimir Putin. Do you see what I mean? Consistently. Against American intelligence, against American heroes, against American allies, against actual evidence, against all these things, they keep consistently agreeing with Putin. Another thing is that Putin wants to discredit the Mueller report. He wants to discredit the FBI investigation. He wants to say that Robert Mueller's honor is worthless, is what he wants to say. Putin wants to say. So part of that is you're saying that the FBI is corrupt. And the way you say the FBI is corrupt is you say that the investigation was tainted from the beginning. And I'm like, how do they do that? And they ran with a conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory was the FBI read a fake news story on Yahoo and then used that in their FISA application. And so that, because of that, the whole thing is invalid, and everything that comes out of it, all the conspiracy that we found afterwards, you can't look at because of this one thing over here. Even though that thing over there is BS. You're wrong. That's totally incorrect. The whole thing started with George Papadopoulos blabbed to the Australian ambassador about having access to Hillary's emails. That was the whole thing. He got caught, right? He got caught. That's what started the whole FBI investigation. He got caught, and he pled guilty to lying to the FBI. Well, what did he lie about? He lied about his relationship with Joseph Misfud, which was some professor who left the country, and now you can't talk to him anymore. Right? He got away. It worked. His lie worked. So that when Mueller says I can't prove conspiracy, it's because of stuff like that. It's because George Papadopoulos lied in order for Joseph Musfed to escape the country. That's why. Who's Joseph Musfed? He's some guy, some academic who was the Russian contact that started this whole thing. And George Papadopoulos was their dude on the inside who worked his way into the Trump campaign. If you look at him, he's a nobody. He came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you have pictures of him next to Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump tried to say like, he's just a coffee boy. He was your Russian handler, Donald Trump. He was your contact to Russia, to the Russian government, to Vladimir Putin. So, but this person who I talked to discounts all of this. This is all in the Mueller report. But this person is like, no, that's all wrong. I agree with him. This guy is telling me even though he pled guilty to it, he's telling me now it's not true. He already pled guilty to it. He already served time in prison, and he got out after 6 months. But now he's saying, oh yeah, I know, it's a lie. I'm innocent. They lied about it. And she's like, yeah, I'm with you, Mr. George Papadopoulos. Or, I'm with you, Russian contact. So, okay, again, aligned with Putin. I see. Okay. Believes that Trump is responsible for the economy. That this great economy is because of what Trump did. So that's another thing, right? There's no sense of history. Your scope is so narrow that you don't have any idea of history. Like, you can't see anything when your scope is so narrow. And that's what fascism does. It narrows your vision. Tiny, 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 tiny. Because when it's like that, you can be easily manipulated. If you look at history, you can see that the economy is on a trend for like 10, 15 years. It's been stupid crazy. For how long? Well, 10 years now, 9 years. It's like the longest bull run ever. And now it's all like crazy because like it's about to fall over again, like the house of cards that it's always been. The rich don't have anywhere to put their money. That's the problem. So yeah, but she believes that Trump is responsible for that. She has no sense of history because her scope has been narrowed so much by this virus called fascism. That's what fascism does. That's one of the things it does. It narrows your scope so that you only see this much, and that when you can only see this much, it's easy to play tricks on you. It's easy to play tricks on you like that. Okay, what's another thing? Says Mueller report excluded exculpable evidence. So she was saying that Mueller manipulated the report to paint Trump as guilty as possible. And any evidence, that's what exculpable means. It means evidence that proves you innocent. So, for example, if you say, oh, you murdered some dude at the docks at 7 p.m. And I can be like, yo, no, I didn't. I was at the movies. I have an alibi, number one. And number two is I have exculpable evidence. Here's the stub. Here's the credit card receipt at the time of the purchase. Like, right? So now, like, your argument is your lie is a lie. There's no way I could have did it. It's like you're just like shooting wildly is what you're doing. So that's the allegation that this person was making, that there was this evidence, the ticket, but Mueller hid it away. And that's not true. That's totally false. But that lie was repeated really badly today by Donald Trump. Donald Trump tried to say that Mueller terminated emails. What? Yeah, see, even Donald Trump is reading from this conspiracy theory place. It's a well that's poisoned. It's a poisoned well, and people are drinking out of it and going crazy. Sleep. All right. Yeah, people are drinking out of this poison well and going crazy. People are drinking out of this well and going. It's making them crazy. It's driving them crazy because it's a poison well. Everything you get out of it, all the information you get out of it is bad. So if you make decisions on bad information, your decisions are going to be wrong because the information you have is wrong. You can't make the right decision with wrong information. You can't do it. Okay. So this is again an attack on Mueller. This is saying Mueller is not an honorable man and that his report is false. They can't really point to anything. It's an insinuation, right? It's like acid. It's meant to corrode away your vision and the ideal, right? The idea. It's meant to corrode the idea so that you toss it aside. Your faith in it, because remember the idea is only real in as much as you give it life. You have to put your energy into it, your faith and your trust, right? You have to go to it, in a way. If you don't go to it, if you abandon the ideal, then it's abandoned. It doesn't get manifested. You just leave it. You abandon it. So you have to give it life. And that attack is that kind of attack, that corrosive attack, is designed to make you not want to give your life, your energy, your trust to this idea that's been built. So there's nothing really behind it. What kind of exculpable evidence? Does that outweigh all the inculpable evidence that we have? All the evidence to the contrary? Why didn't he sit down for an interview if dude is so not guilty? Clinton was under oath for 11 hours. How many hours has Trump been under oath? 0. I don't believe a word he says. Nothing. his companies are crooked, his foundation's crooked, like everything about him is crooked. Why would you believe a word he says? There's got to be something else behind it, right? There's got to be something else behind it. So this person's drinking out of a poison well, having crazy ideas that don't make sense. They don't actually serve anything. They don't serve humans, they serve something else. But what see, this is all comes down to the both sides. The both sides. You hear that all the time. Both sides, both sides. And this person eventually took out the both sides thing to me. She said both sides. Both sides, you know, are bad or good. They're like the same. She was equivalating the two sides. So you have to remember now. Put this in perspective. Put this in context. Her vision is so narrow that she compares the far extreme Nazi right as her base right, and mainstream mainstream American media as her left. And so, which in the context of all the democracies in the world, that's pretty far right. That's way over here. She's already operating from a tiny little perspective way over here. And then they say, well, both sides do it. From way over here, they say both sides do it. And yeah, the both sides, that's a false equivalence. Because even though American mainstream media is pretty far right wing, it's nowhere near the Nazi, straight up Nazi from like Fox News and well, Judicial Watch. Those are conspiracy propaganda sites. Like, that's insane. That's gnarly. That's crazy. They're not equivalent, and they do this false equivalency all the time. When you try to call out the American concentration camps that Trump is running right now with the children in them, the Nazis will come out and say, no, they're not the same. You can't call them concentration camps. They're nothing like Nazi Germany, and that's false equivalence, right? That's false equivalence. They're thinking death camps. They're saying, oh, just because we're not murdering people, actively murdering people, it's not a concentration camp. Totally incorrect. Right? A death camp, it's not the same thing as a concentration camp. A concentration camp is passive death camp. Right? We don't kill them outright. We kill them through neglect. We just don't give them the things they need to live. Right? It's a passive death camp. It's a passive death camp. You have America, we have passive death camps in our country right now. Donald Trump is running them. He's a fascist. And if you support the passive death camps, that makes you a fascist. Don't be a fascist. Don't be a Nazi. That's what we're fighting. So this person that I interviewed, fell in line with all of Putin's values, all of his things, all of the things he wanted. Distrust in American ideals, by saying, because that's what the both sides thing is, right? It's false equivalence. You're saying murder is the same thing as being spat upon. That's false equivalence. So, but if you operate from that logic, then you justify everything. It's easy to justify horrible atrocities when you have false equivalence, when you can easily, because it's not true. Yeah, you deviate from truth. They're in no way similar. Killing someone's no way the same thing as spitting on them. The outright propaganda and lies and conspiracy are no way the same as occasional misframing and or misreporting from the mainstream media or reputable sources, like which are corrected soon afterwards. I mean, there's no way the same. Like, that's the thing. It's just a distorted perspective. Your perspective's distorted. So here, let me tell you what I did. Like, this stuff is like a virus. It gets in you, and it even gets into me sometimes. So last week I gave a pirate broadcast, or I gave like or Sunday I gave my broadcast, and I think I had it on mute, but I don't know. But during that broadcast, I talked smack about another person that I had contact with, and it had nothing to do, like, the smack talk I had nothing to do with their idea. It was about them as their expression as a person. That was messed up of me. That was wrong. I think I was coming from a place of fatigue and hurt, but still, that wasn't nice. It wasn't right. Right? When I say there's inside of all of us, there's a cop, and you have to find him and kill him. Right? I mean it in me too. Even in me, it happens. It's a continual process of cleaning out that code that they try to inject into you. Like, and I apologize for being a bad guy. And if you heard it, then I'm sorry. And if you didn't, then yeah, Buddha saved me, because I think I put the whole thing on mute. And then I deleted the video. So yeah. So yeah, but this is the kind of thing we're dealing with, right? There's a whole bunch of people, real smart people, really smart people, who have like glasses put on them, total distortion glasses, like this, they're wearing distortion goggles. So everything they see is just like boom, all messed up. They can't make sense of it because it's the way it's wrong. They're wearing these distortion goggles. If they weren't wearing these goggles, things wouldn't be messed up. Look at this nether rack. Oh my gosh, so much nether rack. I was digging tunnels in the nether, can you tell? Alright, there. Unloaded. Ah, much better. So yeah. I also was having these Facebook battles, right? I was battling people on Facebook, and so Oregon, Oregon has, the recent news was that a bunch of senators ran away from Oregon to deny the legislature a quorum, so they couldn't pass any bills, a bill that they didn't like, and they peppered it with violent language, revolutionary language. They said, like, if any state troopers come to get me, make sure they're bachelors, because, with no kids or anything, because, unspoken, because you're going to get shot and murdered, and we're going to kill you if you come get me, is what they're saying. In the Trump speak, right? You know what Trump speak is? Michael Cohen talks about Trump speak. Trump speak is when they say something, they look you in the eye, and you know what they mean. What they're saying, like, they don't say it, but you know what they mean. And if you don't know what they mean, then you can't really talk to Trump. You have to be able to talk his language, right? And there's no way of saying it, right? There's no way of like nailing it down, because it's never said. That's his trick. That's Trump's trick. He's all about plausible deniability. Plausible deniability is there's always a way out, a way of saying that I can deny something. And if you never said it, then you have a way of plausibly denying it. I never said that. That's not what I meant. You can always say it. That's plausible deniability. So this legislator made a threat at law enforcement with plausible deniability. That's not what I meant. Of course that's what he meant. Some guy the senator got interviewed in a cafe in Idaho, and he pointed to his posse that was there to protect him should anyone come. A group of men at the table across the way. Maybe they were armed. They were for sure armed. Like, I'm sure they have, you know, they're a bunch of freaking terrorists. Of course they're armed. What kind of terrorists are they? They're white supremacists. White supremacy terrorists. Oh, uh-oh. Kid zombies are the worst. Ah, I'm on fire! Stupid kid zombies. Ah! So many of these guys. Look at this. Ah! Alright. Kill some creepers here. No. Ah! What? Where'd you come from? Under the bridge downtown. That's where I drew some blood. Under the bridge downtown. Silly rabbit. Skeletons don't bleed. Okay. So I'm still looking for that zombie. That villager zombie. That's the purpose why I keep coming out here. Is I'm looking for one of these guys to be a villager that I could save. Why would I be so silly? Why would I do this? Because it doesn't feel right to go steal a villager from a village. You know, they have their life. I'd rather save a villager and start my own little thing. You know? I mean, I could just join theirs, but like, I don't want to. So I got one saved, or one ready to go to be saved. I just gotta find one more. I'll save them. I have the blaze now. I have the blaze farm, so I have the potions to cure them. I already dug up the gold. I already made the apples. I'll just go get more gold if I need to. I mean, it doesn't take that much. And then yeah, I'll have my seed, and then I can build a walled city to keep these monsters out, and they can thrive. I can breed more villagers. And we will be a happy group here in our converted swamp. It will breed life and goodness. It will be ours. We will reclaim our heritage. For this is ours, all of ours, together. These monsters of the old will not be victorious. Aha, you blew up a tree. Which I will chop down. For nourishing wood. Alright. Skellies everywhere. What I wanted to say more stuff, I'm sure. They're gonna update the combat system pretty soon. That's gonna be interesting. I like this system. I don't know. I don't mind it. I like how I can measure my swing, how fast and how strong by the charge. Yeah. But they want to unify the system with Bedrock. So yeah, good luck with that. It's not really Bedrock's problem. It's It's mobile phone's problem. You have to dumb down combat, I guess, for the mobile phone. Otherwise, it's too unwieldy. I guess you can make a toggle. Just like you toggle everything else. Old system, new system. That way you can choose the one that works best for you. Ow. I mean, really, do you have to worry about balance all that much? I guess with PvP you do. If you want to, like, but man, PvP balancing, that's like the death knell. I don't know. I remember all the fights you'd get into on WoW, all the anguish for trying to balance all the classes. It was stupid. Who's shooting me? Oh, I missed. God. How am I gonna get that guy? Let's see. I can't. Oh wait, maybe. Tree's in the way. I can't get a straight. Well, it's possible. No. I don't think he can do it. He's gonna start burning on his own accord pretty soon. No, it disappeared. Alright, whatever. I don't care. I have infinity. Infinity arrows. Okay. Let's see. So here's an example of the false choice, the false coffee. Here's an example of the false equivalence that Trump makes. He wants to say all the time that his policy is identical to Obama's policy. That is a lie. That is a lie. Trump is lying. It's false equivalence. Obama's policy was very, very, very different, and it never involved concentration camps. Yeah, you can't equate concentration camps to anything Obama did. There's no president since the Japanese internment has done what Trump has done. And then Japanese-American internment, that was horrible. And it's happening again, even worse. Yeah, I think I saw a headline about climate apartheid. And I think that's a very interesting point to be made. Because, you know, climate change is going to happen. And the people who are going to suffer are the poorest people. Because they're the ones least able to adapt to changes in climate. Just like animals. That's why they're all going to die off too. Because they don't get air conditioning. They don't have like a hospital they can go to. They don't have a house they can stay in and be sedentary. Like, there's not a supermarket for them. You know, animals are already are already having a hard enough time. That's why that's why they live in. That's the whole state of nature. Like, their rules are way different. Their energy is super important to them. See, we are totally spoiled by all this energy that we get from oil. We're so spoiled. Like, all this electricity is ridiculous. My God. Sitting here in our climate-controlled thing, we're like, yeah, apartment shelter made with amazing materials, exotic materials. Like, No natural materials here, guy. This is all processed stuff all around me. It's all processed. From the drywall to the treated lumber to the nails, the carpet, the glass. It's all artificial in my I'm surrounded in my artificial womb made with energy from oil. Oh. So yeah, so the animals who don't have access to this awesome energy are just gonna die. Like the polar bears are dying. They don't have, they can't just go to the supermarket to buy a seal. Like if they can't swim to an iceberg to where the seals are, they just starve and die. And that's what they're doing. They're starving to death. No more polar bears. What they did do is mate with grizzly bears who are moving north. And so now polar bears and grizzly bears are mating. So they have like these dirty gray bears, like as big as a grizzly and everything else. I don't know if they have the same instincts, water instincts as a polar bear, but whatever. Like, it's already changing the natural world. The rich, though, get to move to wherever the climate's the best, and they have the energy, the money to spend electricity to run their expensive heating and cooling system. Right. If you're poor, though, you don't have that luxury. You don't have any air conditioning. You don't have a heating system. You freeze or swelter until you die. Right. You can't just move. You don't have a summer cottage you can go to in the mountains if you're poor. So the people who are going to suffer the most are the poor. And who are the ones who are most opposed to climate change legislation? The rich! Because why? Because it costs them money. But they managed to trick the poor into supporting it. And that's what's behind the whole uprising in Oregon. Besides the white supremacy. The white supremacists are using this as a vehicle. The way they trick working class Oregonians, lumber guys, into supporting white supremacy and into degrading the environment is by tricking them into thinking that it's a false dilemma. It's either save your jobs and screw up the environment, or save the environment and lose your jobs. But that's a false choice. That's totally incorrect. That's wrong. All right. To move to this new place, you're going to need new jobs. And in order to get new jobs, you're going to need workers. Now I hear that you're going to be up against guys. If you're 50 years old and you lose your lumber job and you're told to go train, go get retrained and re-enter the workforce. All right, fine. Now you're done. Now you're 60. Now you enter the workforce. You go to the job interview, and next to you is some kid fresh out of college. Over there is a guy who's 30 years old, has already worked in a field like this. And you're 50 years old, or 60 years old, and you just left your lumber job and got retrained for this job. That's hard. That's going to be really, really hard for you. And I understand that, right? That looks awful. That looks really bad. Because to be honest, I don't know. I've never had to hire someone, so I don't know. I've been told that the criteria they're looking for isn't always obvious. And I don't know what that means, because I've been terrible at getting jobs, at leaving the position I'm in. I can't seem to get anywhere else, but that's never mind. Yeah, so this person who's 60 years old, maybe you're not meant to be the person who's putting together solar panels. Maybe we need someone to manage it. Someone a little bit older and wiser, a little more mature, who's not going to freak out. Someone's been around the block, who's not going to do dumb stuff, who has a little bit of respect about stuff, and knows and can impart some wisdom upon the employees. Maybe that's what they're looking for. Like when you move this new economy, because this new economy is going to have gigantic needs for people. Like it's going to be World War II type mobilization. That's what we need, guys. I'm not joking, right? I'm not joking. These kids are telling you over and over and over again. That's what they're telling you. Have you been listening? No, because your scope has been so narrow like this. You haven't been listening to the kids. The kids are like screaming their heads off. Ah! Do something. And what you're gonna need to do, guys, like older dudes and women, is you're gonna need to do a transformation of society, the likes of which you remembered we did in World War II. That's what it's gonna take. A massive change of our entire energy infrastructure. Like wow, and then to do that change, you realize how many people you're gonna need? All of them, all of the people. Like your vision's tiny. I keep telling you that. Your vision's small. Like you gotta back up. You gotta back up. You gotta look at the way bigger picture. And open your heart to what's possible and what needs to be done, because it's what needs to be done. It's not like, oh, what a nice dream, Robert. No, dudes, this is what we have to do. I'm trying to get it into you guys to listen to the kids who have been screaming their heads off, trying to tell you until they turn into you, because by the time they turn into you, there won't be anything left unless you do something. That's what they're telling you. In a way, we could look at them at Trump's handling of the refugees as a taste of the climate migration, mass migration that's going to happen in the next 10 years. It's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And if the reaction of the United States is to open concentration camps, it means we're a fascist nation. It means we're fascist. It's fascism. It's fascism. Donald Trump's a fascist. He's a Nazi. And anyone who follows him is a Nazi too. Them's the facts. Yeah. So, I know not all of you are fallen Nazis, not yet. I mean, there's some of you that want to know and want to listen. But that Nazi's got a firm grip on you. The Nazi inside of you, the cop inside of you, has a firm grip on you and has been talking out your mouth a whole bunch. And so he's been talking out your mouth so much that he's almost become you. You can't let that happen. You have to fight it. You have to find that Nazi inside of you. You have to find that cop inside of you and kill him. Kill her. Kill it. Don't let it take control of you. And it's a continual process because the infection comes back. I got infected, right? I got infected. And thank goodness, I think no one heard me because it was bad. And I'm sorry. But yeah, even I fail. So I'm asking you guys, you Republicans who really want to be good people, but I'm telling you guys, you're speaking Nazi. Nazis coming out of your mouth. It happened a lot on Facebook. I saw it a lot. People telling me that they're sending ICE after me. That's Gestapo bullshit. That's Gestapo stuff. You know, normal Americans don't say that kind of stuff. That's what Nazis say. Oh, I'm going to call the secret police on you. That's what Nazis say. That's what's coming out of your mouth. Nazis. That's what you are as a Nazi. If you keep letting that happen, you become a Nazi. That's what Trump is. Trump is a Nazi. That Nazi becomes you if you let him take over too long. Pretend long enough and you don't pretend anymore. If you just pretend to be a Nazi, nah, pretty soon it becomes who you are. Because who you are is what you've done. Right? You can look back and see your past. It's written in stone. Your past is written in stone. You can't change what you've done. You cannot change it. And that is your karma. Right? That's what the Indians are telling you. From India. That's what the Hindu are and the Hindi and the Buddhists are telling you. That's your karma. What is written in stone. Because I mean, they say it's cause and effect, right? Your actions naturally cause these effects to come back. That's just karma. Good or bad, that's just the way it goes. All right? But it's also it can also be seen as your duty, right? Because of what happened in the past, now this is your duty. You see what I mean? Because America was built on racism and genocide. Now it's duty. It must destroy racism and genocide when it sees it. It must defeat and fascism because of its past actions. The only way America can be redeemed is if it strikes out against fascism and hatred and bigotry and genocide and all that awful sin. Everything that America did, it has to now fight in order to save itself. Right? That's your karma, America. That's your duty. That's what happens, right? Because of your past, this is now your future. And if you deviate from that, then you're lost. You become lost, like you are now. Right? How can we allow a fascist to be sitting in the Oval Office? How can we allow children to be in concentration camps? We must be lost. We absolutely must be lost. There's no way we could have gotten here if we knew who we were. And again, I tell you, well then, how did we get here? How did we get lost? Well, who's leading us? Who voted for this guy? Who's the one repeating Vladimir Putin's talking points? I mean, you may not be a Nazi, but if you keep saying Nazi stuff long enough, that's what you become. Vladimir Putin is all about Nazi stuff. And Judicial Watch is all about Nazi stuff. It's raining, so my flaming arrows do not flame. Oh, I have to hit him twice. See, my mouse sensitivity is too high. Like, even the littlest mouse release moves my mouse. Looking for zombies. Alright, let's go somewhere else, because I've been running around here forever. How long have I been going? An hour, okay. That's not too bad. Anything else I want to say? If I don't write this down, then I'll lose it, because streaming takes up all my attention. I can't remember things that I was holding. If I don't write it down, I won't have it. Oh yeah, so this one goes to a village. And I haven't dug the other one, which will go to an outpost. But I already dug those tunnels in the nether. Let me show you. I already worked in the nether. I can't move that. Alright. In the nether, So yeah, this way is much shorter than the overland route. And then this one goes to a stronghold, which is underground. That's where I'm going to find the end portal. So I have to make a thing out there. And then this one goes to a pillager outpost. And I have to make that gate. So eventually, you see I've got like gates everywhere. Our direction moving in every direction. So what I really need to do is make a train station here. Because 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I need a train station. So that's my next big project, I think. But yeah. All right, America. I'm trying to be nice. I don't know. I don't want to hurt people. But I take certain things very, very, very. Certain things are very important. Very. It's important to be clear and about things. Judicial Watch is a horrible source. You should not use that as any source of reliable information. It's terrible. And if you're getting your information from them, you're being led astray. Same thing with Fox News. Unless it's from Shep Smith. That guy is the only guy on there that's true, but he's only on there because he's gay and because he lends an air of credibility to the network where it wouldn't otherwise be. Because Fox is not credible. Man, yeah, it was just nuts. Oh, the border funding bill. The border funding bill failed in the Senate. So the House passed Trump's request for money to fund the camps, basically. And the Democrats in the House were queasy about it because they didn't, there was a whole bunch of money going basically to the concentration camps just to build more concentration camps. And they're like, no, dude, you haven't been giving these kids soap or toothbrushes or blankets or beds or showers or food or anything. Like, you're awful. We want the money to go to the kids, not to your camps. So the Democrats wrote a bill, and it had a bunch of amendments to it, and it basically said that these things said you have to spend the money on taking care of the kids. That's the only thing you can spend the money on is taking care of the kids. And so it passed the House. Then it went to the Senate, and the Senate failed. It failed because the Senate version was different than the House version. The Senate version was just money for concentration camps. It took away all of the stuff about giving money only to the kids. In the Senate, it was only about concentration camps, to make more concentration camps. So it failed. And the excuse was saying, oh, yeah, we couldn't put those, the Republicans were saying, yeah, we couldn't put those Democratic poison pills we couldn't vote for it because it was poisoned. Democrats poisoned the funding for the concentration camps by putting in requirements that has to be spent on the kids. What kind of person says spending money on kids is a poison pill? A fascist says that. A Nazi says that. See, these Nazis want passive death camps. They want these kids to die through neglect. That's what they're doing. You separate them from their families so no one will watch them and then just hope they die. That's what's happening right now. Why is no one freaking out? I don't get it. I'm going to the thing in Eugene. The protest in Eugene. I'm going to that. But that's not for another couple of weeks, I guess. Yeah, things are messed up. Things are wrong. Things are totally messed up. You cannot forget things are messed up. Don't ever let them tell you things are normal. Everything's fine. No, things are not fine. Things are insane. Here, I have a poem. I probably said it before already, but I want to say it again just because it's been a while. And you have to remember, cynicism is like an acid. Cynicism wants you to say both sides are the same. Don't even worry about it. I give up. Cynicism says there's no distinction between everything. It's all just a gray blob, and there's no use even trying. Cynicism wants you to give up on your ideals. It's Putin's strongest weapon. Cynicism is a prism through which wisdom is schismed, light broken down into coloring opinions. Marauding brigands go plodding through a vision of a higher unity, safer than a circumcision. Hippie transformation where peace and love are cannons. Fire off a round of that old sweet compassion. No need to see that another 50 lashes only tears apart the flesh. Red-handed blood splashes. Chains on our minds are the ones that need smashing. Same overt lies, television pictures matching. Images of hate in forms we can relate. It's this prison for our minds. We make our escape. So watch me shape-shift and linguistically mutate. Evolution is great, happening all the time. See the unseen place we fight for our minds. Watch me escape. I'm back for a time, got a knapsack full of wine. Look for and read the signs. Now is our time to shine and self-activate. Won't bow down and play dog to the magistrates of Babylon. Put away the bong if it stops you from filling your lungs to sing your song. Be the pawn promoted to the queen. Be the student who usurps the dean. Organize your body from the boob tune. Wean yourself and train to be more lean than a nano machine. Don't worry if you're wet behind the ears and still green, because the body you train is unseen. Man, that poem like beat me up. Ow. I'm like out of shape big time. Alright, America, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you on the other side of the space that divides us. Until next time, peace! PoGokeRo out. Alright, here, stop.